What's up, people? So this is a vintage reveal from, let's see, June 30th is when they got it. So July, August, September, almost 3 months. It was due at the end of October, so not terrible. Once it got into assembly, it moved pretty quick. So it is nothing super crazy, but some cool stuff, some set fillers for me. It is 63 items, vintage from when they had a special. And they haven't had any specials, so I haven't really sent. Some of these will be available after I see what's going into my sets, but I haven't had a chance to do that yet. I did look at the grades. I don't have patience. Now they're doing this new thing where you get offers, you can sell them directly to PSA. Like, you get an offer on, I think out of the 63 cards, I think I had offers on like 10 of them or something like that. So it's not on every card. Not terrible offers, but I didn't take any of them. I mean, if you don't want to, list on eBay and deal with all that, then I guess you could go about it that way. But I just didn't see any reason to sell to them at the lower prices that they're just going to turn around and sell on eBay for anyway. So that's why I did not. What else? Alright. So there was a few that didn't get graded here. I'm actually interested in seeing them. And I guessed on a few grades this time, and I think I was pretty close, if not spot on some of them. So let's go ahead and take a look at these vintage. First, we're going to see what's in here that they didn't grade, since they put them all in one thing here. So this is the one that I wanted to check the most. 89 score Barry Sanders. They said it was recolored. The thing's in pretty good shape. So what I imagine is that somebody took a green Sharpie, colored in some white on the corner somewhere, and because I just didn't notice it. So maybe down there in the bottom right. I mean, that thing is pretty nice. That would probably be an 8 or a 9 had it not had that. Really hard to see for me on this kind of stuff. That's why it does have some surface scratches on it. I think I probably knew that sending it in anyway, but I mean, it's a nice clean mint card. It's near mint, I guess you can say, but I don't see where the it has to be in the bottom right corner is the only thing I see, but the bottom left has a little bit of white too, so I don't know. Maybe you guys can see on the camera there. Does that look like it was recolored to you? That one obviously doesn't because it's white. I don't see any other areas where we might have something going on, and definitely, not on the back. So I don't know, but gotta trust them. That's how they keep counterfeits out and altered cards out of slabs. So can't really complain with that. What happened here? Minimum size requirement. I am not one that sits here and measures every card. I just assume that they're all good, and I send them. And you can see this is slightly smaller than a regular card, but really nothing. I just grabbed a card here, and these are stickers that came right from the factory. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't slab that. It is not really, maybe left to right also. So on this side and that side, it looks like it doesn't match up exactly, but that's a factory cut. Somebody didn't do that, so that stinks. I think that they should still allow for those to be slabbed. I mean, they got to have the requirements. It's got to meet the requirements, I understand, because then people can cut them, make them sharper if you want to go to those lengths, but they can't, because if you do, it'd be a different size and they won't slab it. But that's why they have that requirement on there. And we have the same thing on this Xavier McDaniel from 86 Fleer. And let's see if we can do that again. I mean, these are nice mint cards too. There's a little bit of yellow dot. You can see that one's a little shorter at the top than the other card. So, oh, they're using these Soft sleeves with the corner cuts. Didn't notice that in prior years, but it seems like a good idea. Miscut on the Art Star 62 Tops. You know, I don't understand the miscut as much as I'd like to. I don't understand why they can't just slab this. I mean, it's fine. It's off center. It's, I don't know, whatever. Okay. We got another miscut on this Larry Sherry. Now, I had like 3 of these in there. Oh my God, that is not miscut. Somebody please tell me why they would not slab this and call it miscut. What in the world? I mean, that's, I don't know. You got me stumped on that one. And then there was one more. It is a Herb Williams from 86 Fleer, minimum size requirement also. Whatever. Okay, into the graded ones. Into the graded ones. Magic Johnson, second year, 8. It's a nice clean card. Tadley off center. Just a tad, a little bit of red dot there. I mean, it's a pretty clean card there for Magic second year. Got an 8 on that one. 70 Tops Killebrew got a 6. Nothing. It's not very good of a grade there, but it's definitely kind of. See, now that I mean, that one looks more miscut than the other card, but even if it is, just dock it a grade if it's, you know, and that's probably what they did here, because this is probably a 7 if it's centered. I mean, it looks, you know, pretty decent for a 6 other than the centering. So apparently that is why it's downgraded to a 6, which is fine. 70 Tops Killebrew, 6. 71 Joe Morgan, a 4.5. These are very tough. This is a very tough year. Black border, one of the toughest vintage years to get in the high grade. So even the low grades are a pretty decent value, although this one probably isn't much, in a 4.5. Joe Morgan, 4.5. There's a couple Ted Simmons in here. I think this is a short print, and there's maybe 2 of them in this pile, and they may have both got 6s. I can't remember, but man, they were kind of tight on these grades. I should have known with all the ones they didn't slab that this person that was looking at these was going to be pretty tight, because that's a pretty nice 6. I mean, it's a tad off center with this black border. You're going to have some white. It's not much. You can see it there. Trying to show it all on camera. I mean, that's a pretty nice 6, and I don't see any reason why it couldn't be a 7, but I mean, a little bit of a corner there. So it's not bad. Not bad. We got a 6 on this one as well. 86 Fleer sticker, Larry Bird. These are tough. I mean, I don't think I was expecting much more than that. You get surface issues on these, and I do wipe the gum stains off on the back. I typically use like an Oakley sunglass thing, or that's actually for shinier cards, or you just find an old pair of pantyhose from a friend and make sure you have those handy, because that will rub off that gum stain stuff real easily. So shouldn't be any issues with that, but it's mostly a tad off center and then kind of the fading of the white there, and I'm sure the corners are just not super sharp. So pretty expected grade there. I don't think it quite reaches a 7, so that's about right. We have another Simmons here and another 6, so we have 2 to compare. This one has all 4 corners are a little bit white, but it's pretty centered better than the other one, and a little bit of white surface going on here. But that is a nicely centered 6 with corners that are a little more touched than the other one. So that's interesting to see how you can see how 2 6s can be different type of cards. This is why grading is suspect in some people's eyes, and then eye appeal comes into play a lot more in vintage. So you have an off-center 6 that has a little bit better corners, and then you have a centered 6 with a little bit of white corners. So it just kind of depends on your preference for collecting or set building or whatever. Me personally, I go with the centered. Spud Webb rookie, got an 8 on this one. I have a bunch of these already. I'm sure I don't need this one for my sets, as I probably have 4 or 5 Spud Webb graded. But I have to see what grades. A little bit off center, top to bottom, kind of left to right a tad, and for the most part near mintish corner. So that's pretty much dead on with the grade there, in my opinion. I would put an 8 on that if it were me grading it. So that is pretty good there. Spud Webb rookie from '86 Fleer. '84 Donruss. I had and still have a few factory sets, and I think I mentioned this before. And this is straight from factory sets. I opened some wrappers, and I sent in some of the key cards. This is Strawberry's rookie. Only got an 8. I mean, obviously it's not perfectly centered, but the corners and everything, surface should be perfect. So, not sure why it's not a 9. Just the centering a tad, but I can see that being a 9. I don't see any issues anywhere else other than the centering, but nonetheless, Strawberry rookie from '84 Donruss is an 8. Same with this Joe Carter. Obviously the centering, again, a tad off, but typically on these everything else is perfect. They come out of the package pretty nice, and sometimes the centering is just a little off. So that's the gamble you take ripping a factory set open and sending some in. You get some 8s there. So Joe Carter, underrated player right there. Doesn't get much love in the hobby, but his rookie's still decent. I've been working on a ton of 72s recently. I have a set on eBay. I've been upgrading some raw sets. I have my own. I think I have 2 half graded, half raw type sets. So there's a bunch of 72s in here, and I am going to see if these are needed for the sets, either as an upgrade or to a raw, or an upgrade to a graded, and then you know, if need be, I'll sell any additional ones. But hopefully I'll be upgrading some of my set here, because that's a nice Gaylord Perry number 285 in an 8. Nice clean card there on the Gaylord Perry. Got an 8. This set is not one that you really want to send in anything less than an 8. So I'm glad we got at least 8s here. Typically you're looking for even 9s. I even have some 10s from 72 Tops. In my one set I think I have 3 10s, because they do come pretty clean sometimes. And yeah, this is about right, I guess. There's a little bit of a touch corner there, and it's not perfectly centered, so I assume that's pretty accurate on the 8, but a 9 would have worked there also. Now here's one that's a little lower receiver. You can see it's off center left to right and top to bottom, as well as the top right corner is dinged up here. I don't know if I wrote this one down. Typically I would have noticed if that corner was like that. I did not guess on this. I did guess 9+ on the Joe Carter and the Darryl Strawberry. 9 or better on those, and got 8s. So missed on that. Didn't get to the Spud Webb. I had 7 to 9, and we got an 8. So pretty much nailed that one. The stickers I had 7 to 8 on all of them, and Bird got a 6. So I probably just missed that surface issue stuff. Magic Johnson I had a 7 to 8. We got an 8, so we're at the high end of that one. Barry Sanders rookie I had 7 to 8. And we didn't get graded on that one. So I did not write this Seaver down, but I do see a corner ding up here. Other than that, it does look pretty good, and it is Seaver, so he's a beast. He always sells. Not sure if I need that one for the set or not. This is a nice one here. Walter Payton got a 9. That was one of the better grades in the pile here. This is 80 Tops Walter Payton, the All-Pro card number 160. Got a 9, so they must have really liked that one, but not quite enough for a 10. It is a tad off center, maybe a little bit of issue on the top middle edge there, but that is a really nice Walter Payton right there. 62 Tops. My dad was building a 62 Tops set, and I am trying to honor that and finish that off. So I went through what we had and sent some in. That was why we saw the Bart Starr card. And I sent some other ones in. So now I got to go back and see which ones can get upgraded into the set and which ones can be sold. So this got a 4. It's Roman Gabriel from the Rams, a quarterback, number 88. This is very similar to the 71 Topps baseball, except these things are 9 years older, so even harder to find in really good condition. You're almost always going to have edge and corner issues here. This thing is dead centered, so that is a really nice eye appeal 4. Doesn't seem to be much wrong on the back. A little off center on the back actually, but the centering on the front is perfect, and you can see the kind of touch corners and edges. A 4 doesn't seem very generous, but I could be missing something just looking at it quick. Seems more like a 5-ish type card, but I'm always one grade higher. Who isn't? Lawrence Taylor. I just sold one of these. That they put. This was one of the cards they offered, and it wasn't high enough. I just sold one on eBay recently, like a week ago. I have a bunch of these. I probably have 10 of these graded, a couple raw. The original LT rookie from 82 Topps, and an 8 is about right on this. The corners are usually soft on this year's cards. Sometimes you can find some sharp corners, but you can see a little soft, This thing cannot be a 9, so pretty good grade on that one. We did get a 9 on the Cal Ripken. Same thing, same set, same thing. Now this one's better centered, so clearly they docked us on the Strawberry and Carter for the centering, because this thing is dead centered, but didn't quite get to 10 on their scale there, but that's a real nice Ripken 9. 84 Donruss is a really popular set. Back to the 62 Topps football, number 68 Jim Ringo. We got a 5 on this one. Now the centering is different than the Gabriel, but the corners are a little better on this one. So they did give us a 5 on the Ringo. Now, me personally, I would prefer the Gabriel over the Ringo, even though the grade is higher. So that's why some people say buy the card, not the grade. That's probably a good example right there, where that Gabriel is a nicer card in my opinion. Sparky Anderson from 70 Topps. This one got a 6. That's not a very good grade. I don't think I would have sent it in if I thought it was going to get a 6. Not the hardest year to get higher grade. I mean, you can see the centering on the back is really bad. Maybe I didn't pay enough attention to that, because that's certainly old Dacia there. That's pretty bad on the back, the centering. Not terribly centered on the front, but pretty decent shape. Bottom left corner has a little bit going on, so got a 6 there. Another 70 Topps. This one got a 9. That's a nice grade for that year. That is Ted Sizemore with the Cup card. Number 174 with a 9 on this one. That is a nice, clean card. Now, a 10 in that year would be spectacular, but I'm sure they didn't want to give me that, and they probably found something wrong that they couldn't quite justify putting a 10 on a card that is 55 years old. So, but cannot be upset with that. That's a really nice card. There's a little dot by his name, so that could be certainly a reason. Other than that, that's a clean card and a 9. Happy with that one. Another 9, same thing. Fergie Jenkins, tad off center, not much, but a tad. And I think they changed their standards on centering for 10s. Centering on the back is really nice. That is a nice, clean looking card with sharp corners. Very nice. Jenkins there, and a 9. Got an 8 on this Tommy John. 1970 Topps also, Tommy John. I think I needed to add a bunch to the 70 Topps set for graded, so that's kind of why I went through and sent some in. This one is definitely off-centered. You can see there, but pretty clean, just a little off-center. And Tommy John got an 8. Next one is Harmon Killebrew from the same year. I think we had this one earlier and got a 6. This one here is a 7, so slightly better on the Killebrew this time with a 7. Pretty nice card there. Off center on the back, little mark up there. Other than that, that's pretty clean. 4, 7. All right, we got into the stickers. Another 6. This is the 86 Fleer Jordan rookie year, really popular set. I have a complete set, 3 of them, 4 of them, 1 raw, 3 graded. Kind of always upgrading and changing things around with those sets. I do have a 9 that's complete and graded, all 9s, but the stickers aren't all 9s. So I'm always looking to send some more stickers in, and these have been sitting around for a while, and I said I'm going to pick out a few and send them in. Now, obviously 6 isn't great, but this is Isaiah's rookie. It's most of these guys rookie, except for Magic and Bird, but like these guys have base rookies in the set, and then they had the sticker rookies. So again, I did wipe off the back, all the gum off the back, but you're going to get kind of soft corners. There's you can see a little bit hanging on there, and not quite sure why this one got a 6. I don't see the same issues I did with the Bird. This looks more of like a 7 or 8 to me, unless I'm really missing something. This one looks really undergraded. Typically you don't get a 6 unless there's something wrong with the corners, or sometimes like a wrinkle or something. So for this to be a 6, I'm not exactly sure why, other than that little piece hanging. We got Magic from the same year sticker, and that got a 7, so not terrible on that one. A little bit off center left to right, and on the back a little bit off center with a red mark there, but that's a pretty nice Magic 7 right there. Iconic card here. I think there's 2 of these in there. This is the actual Air card, the original Air card before they started going through and changing it up. So this is a 9. That's a really nice card and a popular one. This is one of the cards that the PSA offered on, and I decided not to take it. I don't know what I have of this. I have some raw, I have some graded. I think I already have a 9, so this one may be for sale, or maybe the other 9 if I take a look at it. It's pretty clean, other than a little bit hanging there and there from the printer. Very nicely centered, surface is good, and that is a extremely popular card. Back to the black border, 71. We got Reggie Jackson here in a 4. Don't think I expected much more than that. That's a tough card. It's always kind of faded. It's off center. It's just a tough card. So a 4 is not terrible on the Reggie. We got a 7 on McCubby. 70 Topps McCubby got a 7 off center, top right corner. Pretty close to being accurate there, I believe. That's probably pretty accurate for a 7. They may have changed their standards again. I don't know. Some people told me near mint is now a 7 instead of an 8. Near mint's an 8, whatever. I know that's the title of it, but you know, to me, like if I'm selling that card raw, I'm saying that's near mint. I mean, that's near mint, however you want to say it. That's like an 8. But I understand why it's a 7. It's a little bit off cut. Yeah. So. All right, we got a Seaver Wins 1970 Playoff Game 1 card here, number 195. That got a 7. Also, pretty decent shape. Nice surface. Tad off center. And, you know, the good thing is, I guess the positive thing I can take from all this is they don't put the qualifiers on there anymore. I hated the qualifiers. You used to have to say if you didn't want a qualifier. So if this card's a 9, but it's off center, they used to put mint 9, and then in parentheses they'd put OC. Now instead of giving you a 9, they just dock it 2 grades and make it a 7. So if this card's a 7 but it's off center, I'm sorry, if it's a 9 it's off center, they just make it a 7. So that could be the case sometimes with these as to, you know, why the grade is a tad lower, because these are pretty clean cars. All right, another Ripken, but this one is the black box over to Air. This one also popular. So is the whiteout and the scribble. There's like 4 different versions, I believe, and there's even other versions. There's like a cut, saw cut, and some different stuff with the Oriole logo. There's a lot of different versions of this card, but you know, it's always nice to get 9s, even 10s, obviously, but 9s especially. You know, or at least when you're sending this in, you really don't want to get anything less, although an 8 might get your money back on this type of card. You can make a little money on a 9 black box card, and I sell a lot of these raw, and then every once in a while I come across one that's worth sending in, so I think I sent 1 or 2 in, and we got a 9 on that one. Another 84 Donners from our factory set we ripped, and we got a 9 on the Pete Rose. Pretty nice card there. They did offer 28 bucks, I think, or 20 bucks maybe. I don't know. It was like 20 or 28, and I just decided not to do that. I'm starting to slowly kind of gather some of these up in 9s, and maybe I'll put a set together in a binder and put some graded cards in there like this one. So 9 on the Pete Rose, 84 Donners. 1960 Topps, Billy Martin. We got a 5 on the Martin. A little bit of surface issues going up here. Not terribly off center, a little bit left to right. A little cockeyed. Back looks decent. Corner a little bit there. And the surface issue there. So I think that's probably pretty accurate on the Billy Martin. We got a 5. Some more 86 Fleer. Like I said, I'm always working on these sets, so there's a bunch of these in there, commons and everything. But you know, usually 8's the bottom end of what you want to get on these, except for the rookies and stuff. So this is a common card. 9 would have clearly been better, but I kind of have sent my better ones in over the years, so I'm kind of nitpicking and just grabbing some that I thought maybe had a chance at a 9, but obviously this one didn't quite get there. I mean, you can see the, you know, the corners and stuff. I guess they didn't want to slab this a 9. This is a card that, depending on who you get as a grader and when you send it in, if I sent this card in 20 years ago, that's a 9. It's a 9. I mean, I'm looking right at it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a tad off center and you know, on the back, but I mean, it is dead centered on the front with a tad of white showing there. This used to be a 9, but whatever. I mean, you know, it's not that much of a difference in value. It's just crazy that they've gotten a little tighter on that kind of stuff, which is a little weird, but whatever. Ernie Banks, 1960 tops. I can see some rough corners on this one. So we got a 5. There's a blue ink thing there and rough corners right there and a little off center. So this is pretty dead on for a 5. Don't think we can quite get a 6 on that one. In fact, I may have... No, I did not write down on that one. Some of the other stuff I did. Jim Bunning, also on the 60 tops, and we got a little bit better grade on that one, a 6. A little cleaner card. You can see the corners are pretty sharp on this one. Just a tad off center, in fact. Now that one's way nicer than the Banks, but it's only 1 grade higher. Way nicer card, 1 grade higher. Just super clean, sharp corners. Way better than the Banks, but 6 on that one. We're into 66 Philadelphia. That is Bob Brown. And we got a 6 on that one. It's about right. Off center and rough corners there. There's a Steeler. An Eagle. What? Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. He's only an Eagle. Okay. We got another 66 Philadelphia card. This one is a 6 also. That's Leroy Caffey for the Packers. Got a 6 on that one. I guess that seems pretty good. I mean, you see the corners there. That's about right on the Caffey. Nothing exciting there. Not even sure why I sent those couple in. This card and the next card I needed for a 61 set. Or I pulled them out of a 61 set and decided to get them slabbed. Did I write the papers down? I did not. I wrote the Hank Aaron down, the next one. Obviously cockeyed, centered, off-centered there. This could be something they call a miscut, but it's not, so I don't understand what miscut actually means. But pretty decent shape for a 5, other than the centering. I mean, the corners are pretty nice for a 1961 Babe Ruth. Popular card, 60th home run. And then here's the Hank Aaron, way off center, top to bottom. I wrote down a 5 with a question mark on my guessing sheet, so we weren't too far off. This is a 4. It's pretty clean, other than the centering. I mean, it's not terrible. There's some surface issues, but the corners aren't too bad, and the back's clean. So, but I'm not a big fan of the centering, obviously. So, it's a 4. Here's another Hank Aaron. Now this one's a nice one. This was the nicest card, I believe, in the batch. The All-Star card, and I wrote down a 7. So we nailed this one. I wrote down a 7. We got a 7. This is a high number All-Star Hank Aaron card. Really nice card, and if I already looked at it and said 7, then that's what it should be in my mind, so I'm good with it. A little bit off center, and you know, corners are what they should be for a 7. Average. Bob Shaw. I wrote an 8. I wrote an 8 down, not thinking they'll ever give me a 9, but you never know. Sometimes on these, you know, nice clean cut cards, you know, that is a pretty nice one there for a 9. So I wrote an 8. We got a 9 on a common card from Bob Shaw. And that is a nice 9. Bob Shaw. All right, we got back to the 86 Fleer. This is the highest grade we got out of the sticker cards. It's Patrick Ewing. A little bit cleaner surface. Still a tad off center, but a nice cleaner surface and a little bit sharper corners. Just off center there on the back. So pretty nice Ewing there on the 86 Fleer sticker. Back to 70 tops. These are kind of all over the place. They weren't in any kind of order. We already had this card earlier, and here is a 7 for Tommy John. 1970 tops, Tommy John. Just a little bit of centering and decent shaped card there. Another Ewing. We had an 8 a second ago. So we'll grab that again. Then we got a 6. An 8 and a 6. There you go. This is why people don't like grading. I mean, if you just look at that to the naked eye from that distance, it is very hard to tell. If I covered these grades up, switched them around, didn't show you originally or whatever, it would be hard for you to say one's an 8 and one's a 6. But, in fact, the 6 has better centering on the back and the front. So there must be some other stuff going on there, soft corners, whatever. But yeah, the 6, in my mind, the 6 is a nicer card, which is just ridiculous to say out loud. But it's true. The 6 is a nicer looking card. It's just when you get into the details of it, you can see it's a little cockeyed there, and then, you know, maybe a tad touched up on the edges and surface. But nonetheless, that's what it is, people. Unless you want to start cracking and resubbing and doing all that, which I have really never done in my entire life. Not into that side of the business, but a lot of people are. Another sticker. That is a 6 on the Akeem Olajuwon, so nothing, not great there, and that's because of the surface stuff. Same as the bird, with some white taken off of the front surface there. Otherwise, pretty nice, centered, and a little bit of a top corner there for the Olajuwon 6. This is our third Killebrew. I think we got 2 6s and a 7. I sent 3 of them in for 1970 tops. Harmon Killebrew, and we got a 6 for some reason. A little bit of a mark there. You can see that. Tad off center. Tad off center on the back. But pretty clean for a 6. I guess it's about right. A little bit. Oh, maybe some surface issue there. Can't tell if it's on the card. And another Tommy John. I think we just had a 7. Here's another one. Another 7. Basically the same card. Same situation with signing. This person did not like the centering on a lot of these. Another Walter Payton. Going back a few years here, we got 78 Walter Payton, and that's a nice 7. Tad off center, and not too bad. Bottom left corner, a little bit edge over here. The edge could use a little bit, but that is a nice Walter Payton. You can see a little bit of brown on the corners. That's 1978 card number 200 on the All-Pro Walter Payton. Another Seaver here. This is a nice card. Way off center, as you can see on the cup card. Second year Tom Seaver got a 4. Probably not worth a whole lot, but it is his second year, and he's a popular dude. But with that centering, and it's hard to see these corners on the 68. That looks like it's a little soft down there as well, but you really got to get in there under a nice light to see these 68 corners. 61 Fleer basketball, Carl Braun got a 7. Popular set. I've had a bunch of these from some collections and just decided to pick some out and send it. This one probably sells pretty decent, or I wouldn't have sent it. I probably looked it up because I am not super familiar with Carl Braun, so I probably saw it and thought, it looks pretty clean, worth getting slabbed in a 7. Giants team card I had written down an 8, and we got an 8, so that's what I had on this one. 66 tops Giants team card. We guessed an 8, and we hit on that one. Pretty nice clean card. A little bit of discoloring on the back, a little bit off center, but pretty sharp corners and a nice surface, and pretty good centering. So 8 is pretty good on that. And is that a high number? That is not a high number. Okay. Billy Williams. I don't think I guessed on the other ones, or maybe one other one. Billy Williams cup card, second year. Popular dude for the Cubbies, off center. 62 tops. Surface looks pretty good. Corners are a little soft in the centering. So I just was talking about how they don't put the things on there anymore, but this one actually has a 4 with a miscut. Like, they would literally need to call me on the phone and explain to me the difference. First of all, you didn't even slab this one at all, and you call it a miscut. This one you slab and call a miscut. And secondly, you can see that it's off center or miscut, whatever you want to call it, and this one's not. So I would love to know the difference with why this one's in a slab with an MC and this one's not. Whatever. All right, we have the Cubbies on the 65 tops. 65 tops. Cubs team got a 6.5. 6.5. They weren't ready to give it a 7. A little bit of soft corners there and there. Nice color, nicely centered. Pretty nice card. 6.5. Cubbies team card from 65 tops. Scoron for 60 tops. We got a 5. I had a 6+ written on this and the Billy Martin. Interesting. I had a 6+ on this. And I'll tell you what, it looks like a 6+. The corner a little soft down here in the centering, but it looks like about a 6. But hey, I am always one grade higher than they are. So I should just need to know that in my head, I guess. Larry Bird, Fleer. We had 7s to 9s. 7 being the lowest on all of my 86 Fleer. So kind of shocking that this got a 6. I know it's off center, and I know it has a little bit going on here, but yeah. So a 6 on the Bird. I got a Chris Mullin rookie behind that from 86 Fleer. Also got a 6. I realize it's off center, and maybe that's why whoever graded these docked a lot of these, because the whole pile seems to be a tad off center. So a Mullin rookie is discolored on the back and off center. I get it. That discoloring will kill you. Nobody wants that. Craig Hodges, though, we got an 8, so we were pretty accurate on that one. A little bit of white on the corners, but that's pretty standard for an 8 on this kind of card. A little red dot there. It's dead centered with a nice surface. Just a little bit of white showing, preventing it from a 9. So, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory 8 right there. Drabowski, I did put, what did we get here? We got a 7, and I put an 8. So I had an 8 down on this one. We just missed. Pretty nice card. Nicely centered. A little bit of white dots showing on the print surface there and there. Corners are pretty nice, and the back is clean. So, yeah. And then one more Billy Ripken for you. This one is the original Air. We got an 8. So this is the Air card. We got an 8 and a 9. And we'll be selling that for sure on the 8. There, looks pretty good. A little bit of white on the back. Okay, that'll do it. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Sports Cards every month on YouTube.